the iFlight Nazgul5. So let's just go ahead and get right into some GoPro footage of this quad. I'm actually going to let a little bit of it play first here just with audio, because when it comes to freestyle and quads like this in terms of tuning, being able to hear the motors and how everything sounds is very telling, so I'm just going to let a minute or so play of that. Alright, so now that has gone through, we're just going to go ahead and run a little bit of DVR in the top right while I talk about the quad and everything that it has. First off, the frame is their custom Nazgul5 frame. In the center we have their 50 amp Form 1 ESC with their flight controller, and then on top we have their, I believe it's called the Force VTX, which is very similar to the Rush one. For control, one of the nice things, I'm actually using a TBS Crossfire in this. They have that as an option. You just pay the extra cost of the receiver, and you can see they have quite a nice mount in the back. Not the best for like super long range, but you could definitely get a couple miles out of a setup like this on 200 milliwatts or 100 milliwatts Crossfire. Moving on to the front, probably one of my least favorite parts is the RCAddict camera. It's just not great, and if you see from that DVR, the colors, they look okay. It's probably one of the better RCAddict cameras in here. I'm just a huge fan of the Predator 4, which I usually use, so it's hard to break off of that, but you could easily swap this. It uses the typical nano size camera, and I believe if you take, see these gray things, I think if you take this TPU insert out, you could actually fit a mini in there. I'm not 100% sure, but it definitely fits all micro size cameras. Moving on to the motors, they are the Sing 2207 1800 kV, and these are the Eco line motors. And for the propellers, this is the new iFlight Nazgul 5-inch 5140 prop. And now I'm not sure if these ship with the quad or if it's actually tuned for the quad, but I had a couple sets of these and I put these on, and it seems like these are tuned for the quad. This thing flies absolutely stellar. I think it's on Betaflight. It's either 4.0.5 or 4.1. It depends on the version you have. But using these props, I did not change a single thing about the tune except for my rates. And this thing flies absolutely great. If you could tell from the GoPro footage, there is practically zero prop wash. It's extremely snappy. I put this thing up and it was like my quads that are 2 times the price and I've worked on for a long time to get flying well. This thing was just immediately at their level and it was right away ready to get good GoPro footage. And now I don't have the GoPro mount that's actually made for this quad. You can see this is one from my racing quad I just put on there and then strapped on. This is to lower the angle. Since it was 50, I wanted to get closer to 35. So don't mind that. But there is a GoPro mount available for this. And then you do have this battery pad, which did come with it. However, it doesn't really fit. You can see there's cutout for the screws is not there, so I just kind of put it on. But you could easily fix that with scissors. They do give you a little iFlight antenna, which works just fine. And then, as I mentioned, there is a TBS Crossfire, if you can see up underneath there, which comes pre-installed. And of course, this is a bind and fly quad, which is very, very appealing, especially for the price. I've seen this go from anywhere between $180 to $220. Really depends on the time. But for the quality that you're getting, this thing is absolutely phenomenal. The frame, I love this frame. It is not the lightest, and you could definitely take all these TPU pieces off. You really don't need these. But it's extremely stiff. Like, I can barely bend that, and I am pressing very hard. And the iFlight 50 amp ESC is the one I currently use for racing, and these motors I have used for racing. I've moved to the different version, but these work absolutely fine. And paired with these 5140 Nazgul props on the tune that they give you, this thing flies great. And obviously with the VTX, you can do 25, 200, 800 milliwatts, whatever you want for freestyle, so that is very nice. And top mount just flies very, very well. So I think that might actually be all I have to say about this guy. It just flies extremely well right out of the box. You don't have to do, well, you should do very minimal setup. You set up your switches and modes in Betaflight and your rates. But other than that, everything is ready to go. And if you do get this quad, I highly recommend using these Nazgul 5140 because combined with the setup on this quad, it just flies very, very nice. This is probably actually going to be my main freestyle quad going forward to get any footage that I need. And of course, I'm using a GoPro Session 5 up front. Before we end the video, however, let me just get a quick weight on it. And now this is the quad completely ready to go. Dry weight with the GoPro, obviously, and that is 469 grams. And then with a 1300 6SR line, which is the battery that I was using, we're going to get an overload because it's over 500 grams. So 469 plus these are about 212. You can do the math there. It is definitely not the lightest at closer to 700 grams. The frame is definitely very beefy. All this extra TPU they have all over the place definitely adds some weight. But I'd say the power, it makes up for it because it's definitely a very strong flyer, and I didn't really feel the weight overall because these props are extremely lightweight and low pitch, so the motors can control them very easily, and you get a lot of that control back. If you are interested in higher performance, you could definitely take almost all this TPU off and probably save about 20 grams just from that. But you wouldn't be able to drop much more, but for me it wasn't an issue. So there'll be links down in the description below to this quad if you're interested. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.